your name? Don't you play this game? You from another land, got you like it's contraband. Tell me what's your name? Don't you play this game? You from another land, got you like it's contraband.
What's up, guys? Keyshawn the Chia here, back at you with another part 2 of Ultimate Universe. This will be part 2 of What If Naruto Had the Infinity Stones. Now, yeah, I didn't really reach the 50 likes, but I spoil y'all too much, and I really don't care about the likes that much, so I'm just gonna give y'all part 2, because I saw in the comments that y'all guys really wanted a part 2, and y'all really wanted to hear more of the story, so I said, what the hell? Let's continue it, and let's see what happens next. So pretty much where we last left off, Naruto was pretty much talking to Sasuke and telling him that he can alter his DNA with the Infinity Stones and pretty much can change himself and change reality, which Sasuke didn't believe him, saying BS, and pretty much walks away, which Naruto gets in a grumpy mood. This is where he heads home and pretty much sees his mom, Kushina, and Minato, which Minato was basically trying to warn Naruto not to try to do that because he doesn't want his son to get attacked or get capture or anything, which Naruto didn't listen to him at all, and pretty much just goes in his room all pissed off. Now, this is pretty much the last recap. Let's get to the part 2. Now, pretty much this is where we have Naruto. Oh, sorry about that, but this is where pretty much we have Naruto. Sorry. A little bit tired, guys. Didn't eat anything at all, but let's continue. But pretty much, this is where we have Naruto. Naruto in his room, and he's pretty much looking up, saying that he can do whatever he wants, and he pretty much has the power. Which this is like, keep in mind, like still teenager Naruto, but like not in his like older version self, the 2-year time skip Naruto. So he's a little bit arrogant, and this he has great power, but he doesn't know the responsibility of that power, you could say. He's basically still, we all know, childish Naruto. If he has power, he can just do what he wants. This is where Naruto pretty much sneaks out at night, not telling Minato or Kushina, and pretty much starts heading out. Now, this is where as he's going to just get some fresh air to look out to the moon and stuff, he pretty much looks up in the sky saying, stupid parents. They don't know how powerful I am and stuff. Which Naruto's saying that and all that. This is where Danzo's Anbu ninjas, you could say Danzo's Anbu ninjas, are pretty much ready to attack Naruto. To pretty much capture Naruto and to, you could say, try to extract those Infinity Stones from Naruto. And you could say get rid of the body. Now, this is where Danzo pretty much appears right behind Naruto saying, Naruto Uzumaki. Which, this is where Naruto looks at Danzo and says, who are you? Which, this is where Danzo explains himself. He says, my name is Danzo, and pretty much says his whole titlement and stuff, and that he owns Anbus and stuff. This is where pretty much Naruto has the Soul Stone, or pretty much the Mind Stone. Well, activate the Mind Stone without even knowing, and he pretty much noticed that Danzo is pretty much lying. He's pretty much full of shit, and he's lying to him in front of his face. This is where Naruto pretty much stands up and gets into a defense position and says, you're lying to me. You really want me to just come with you so you can kill me and take my stones. Which, pretty much, this is where Danzo gets into a serious face look and says, get him. And pretty much the Anbu Ninja starts attacking Naruto. This is where Naruto doesn't have the capability to fight Anbu Ninjas. So he's pretty much running away and trying to dodge them. And pretty much he begins to start getting attacked by, starts to get attacked by the Anbu Ninjas. As he's getting attacked by the Anbu Ninjas, this is where one of the Anbu Ninjas pretty much throws a kunai, which Naruto just barely dodges and hits a tree. Now, as he hits a tree, this is where the other Anbu Ninja stabs the sword and pretty much hits him by the left side of the chest, pretty much stabbing him and holding him up against the tree. Now, as that's happening, this is where Naruto lets out a little bit of a scream. Not of a gross scream, but of a scream in pain. Which, this is where Danzo says that he pretty much walks close to Naruto, saying that he heard that Naruto has these stones and it can do many properties. he needs this to become the greatest Hokage, which this is where Danzo is saying. As Danzo's about to take, as Danzo's walking much closer, this is where Danzo also sees the Rinnegan in Naruto's eyes and says, "Oh, and those Rinnegan eyes, I think I would be taking those first." As Danzo's reaching for Naruto's eyes, this is where Minato comes in, pretty much using the Flying Raijin Mark II and hitting the shit out of Danzo with a Rasengan. But this is where Danzo blocks it, just barely blocking it, and pretty much says, "Minato," which this is where Danzo gets protected by two other Ambu ninjas, and pretty much this is where the Ambu ninja says to start running. Go, Lord Danzo, while we defend, while we got this, and pretty much this is where he starts running away, while Minato fights off the other Ambu ninjas and pretty much runs up to Naruto, taking the sword out Naruto's left side of his chest, left side, and pretty much asks Naruto if he's okay. This is where Naruto hits a turning point. This is what changes Naruto that we all know and love. This makes Naruto much more different, more developed, you could say, and kind of a little bit makes him more, you could say, different now, as he wants to get stronger after the whole embarrassment he just went through. As Naruto's on the ground, this is where Minato pretty much asks Naruto, is he okay? Which Kushina is pretty much right behind Minato, running and hugging Naruto, asking they didn't hear him in his room, and they opened up the door, which they didn't see him there, and they was concerned, so Minato went out to look for you, and pretty much Kushina started crying, asking, saying she's so sorry that they didn't tell him about his ability of those stones and stuff, and basically just was just apologetic and stuff, and they're just sad. This is where Naruto realized that they really do care for him, and they was only doing it to protect him, and this is what made him more trustworthy of his family, of his mom and dad, and pretty much he gets up and hugs both of them, and he begins to cry, saying that he's sorry for being so arrogant and spoiled and stuff, and pretty much they all have a happy, you could say, reunion and stuff. Now, next day, Naruto pretty much gets up and starts heading to the bell test, but let's switch to Minato and what's happening with Minato now. This is where Minato is in the Hokage office and pretty much pissed off, saying, "Where's Danzo?" Which pretty much Kakashi is pretty much with Minato and talking to him, saying that they're right now in the lead trying to find where's Danzo. They believe that he's heading to the land to the hidden sand village, hidden sand village, which this is where Minato is pretty much saying, alert the Raikage there, and let them know that they're having a wanted person over there, which Kakashi says, "Is there anything else?" Which Minato says, "Yes. Alert all other villages too that there's a wanted fugitive on loose named Danzo, and his head is wanted high." Which pretty much Kakashi nods and starts heading out. Which as that's happening, Minato is pretty much pissed off and saying, "Danzo, there's one thing you should never do is hurt my family." Which pretty much Minato is thinking of that, and he's pretty much more frustrated. He's more pissed off. He wants to kill Danzo more than anything for what he was trying to do to his son. And pretty much I'll say half of the Ambu members is with Danzo. Well, yeah, only like I'll say 3 Ambu members, while the rest is like with Minato. So like only like 2 other Ambu members is trying to find Danzo, while the other ones are just with Danzo. So yeah, it's kind of like divided 50-50. So yeah. But anyways, this is where we switch back to Naruto. Naruto is pretty much heading to the bell test, and this is where Naruto, Hinata and Sasuke is pretty much waiting for Kakashi. And as they're waiting for Kakashi, this is where Naruto pretty much uses the reality stone well, yeah, pretty much no, uses the pretty much space tone and pretty much teleported food. Teleports to the ramen place and teleports back to Hinata and Sasuke, and he pretty much offered the meal saying that they might as well eat because if they don't eat, they're gonna be unfocused and they're pretty much ain't gonna be strong enough to fight Kakashi. Which pretty much this is where they all agree upon and they start all eating together. Now, as they're all eating together, this is where Naruto would hurry up and teleport the bowls back to the Robin guy, leaving a note and leaving money in the bowl, leaving money saying thank you to the Robin guy, which the Robin guy knows that it's Naruto because Naruto teleports to the place. And he says, "When is Naruto going to ever just say thank you in front of me?" That kid, which the Robin guy's daughter starts saying, "Oh, you're talking about Naruto?" Which the Robin guy says, "Yeah, he did it again, but he paid me." Which pretty much the Robin guy, and the daughter start laughing because Naruto is very nice to them. He's a nice person, you could say. But let's continue. Now, as that's happening, this is where Kakashi comes in saying sorry that he got lost in the road of life, but we all know what was really happening. And pretty much, Sasuke says, "Don't be wasting people's time," which Kakashi says, "My bad. Sorry about that," which Naruto says is completely fine. "You probably have something important to do," which Kakashi says, "Yeah," and pretty much explains that he had to visit someone's grave, a friend, his comrade's grave, which pretty much Sasuke feels bad about it, and also Hinata, and says sorry for your loss, which Kakashi says it's a fine, and makes a smile, and says let's continue. Whew, sorry about that. Let me get my breath. All right, but let's continue. Now, as this happened, this is where Kakashi holds two bells and pretty much explains the bell test and explains what they have to do, and only one of them will get sent back. This is where all three of them are shocked, except for Naruto. He has determination of fire now, because ever since him getting punked by Danzo, that changes him and made him more developed and wants to get stronger and stuff. To protect himself, but not only himself, his family, and his friends he has. And pretty much, this is where Kakashi says 3, 2, 1, and pretty much they all start separating. Now, as they're all separating, this is where Naruto is pretty much hiding, but this is where he creates a clone, and he warps it and makes the clone into a monkey with a staff. You could say the Monkey King, which, well, no, he makes his clone. He warps his clone and makes it into a snake. You could say, with the reality stone, and he sends out the snake. Now, this is where Kakashi reading the book, and this is where the snake starts charging at Kakashi and spitting acid. Well, ice, spitting out ice at Kakashi, which Kakashi dodges it and pretty much looks at the tree, and the tree got frozen in ice, which he says, "What the?" And pretty much the snake starts attacking Kakashi while Kakashi is pretty much dodging the snake and pretty much getting a little bit serious to fighting the snake. Now, as he's fighting the snake, this is where um, Naruto meets up with Hinata and basically explaining that they have to use teamwork because why would they be two bells? Which Naruto is much smarter than his original counterpart, and they begin to go find Sasuke too. Now, this is where they talk to Sasuke and explains that the bell test is really about teamwork, and it's not about trying to get the bells and one person gets sent back. Which Sasuke starts to disagree, but he's more luckily agrees and starts going on with the plan. Now, as that's happening, this is where Kakashi pretty much jumps back while the snake is trying to reach him, and pretty much he shoots a fireball at the snake, burning the snake and making the snake scream. And the snake is pretty much wobbling around to try to put out the fire. Now, as that's happening, this is where pretty much Naruto comes back out and does some hand signs that says water style, water dragon jutsu, pretty much shooting out a water dragon. Which pretty much this is where Kakashi says, SS or a powerful jutsu like that? How? Which pretty much this is where Kakashi does his does his earth dragon to match with Naruto's water dragon, and pretty much it collides with each other. Now, as that's clashing with each other, This is where Sasuke jumps out the bush and pretty much shoots 3 fireballs at Kakashi, which Kakashi just barely dodged all 3 of them. And this is where Hinata jumps in and pretty much uses her palm technique and pretty much close off half of Kakashi's chakra points. She didn't master it all the way, but with the help of Naruto and using the time stone, he pretty much matures Hinata's mind and physical body, not making her into like a teenager or adult, but he pretty much matured her mind and physical body a little bit more by keeping her in the same age, but kind of, how can I explain it? It's kind of, he kind of took her future counterpart self and put half of that in Hinata, but not the whole thing because it would make Hinata go crazy. So Hinata pretty much mastered the palm technique a little bit more earlier than original. And pretty much she used her palm technique, closing off Kakashi, like half of Kakashi chakra points, not all of it, but closing half of it, which pretty much Kakashi hits the ground and saying, crap. Which this is where Naruto grabs the 2 bells and pretty much jumps back. He gives one to Sasuke and slices the other bell in half, pretty much giving it to Hinata, saying, did we pass? Which this is where Kakashi looks at history people and pretty much smiles and says, y'all passed. It was all about using teamwork and stuff, and y'all all did excessively well. Which pretty much Sasuke, Hinata, and Naruto is decided that they pretty much passed. Now, as that's happening, this is where Kakashi says they're going to be doing missions tomorrow, so get a good rest, and pretty much see y'all later. Which pretty much they all start going their separate ways. As they go on their separate ways, this is where Naruto is pretty much walking, and he pretty much uses the Mind Stone and pretty much sees why Sasuke is like this and sees that his own brother killed the Uchiha. Yes, the Uchiha massacre still happened even though Minato was alive. It still happened. Now, as that's happening, pretty much he sees, and this is where he pretty much sees what happened and how did it all happen and stuff. And he pretty much sees that Sasuke desired to get stronger and stuff, to pretty much not to only kill Itachi, but to pretty much avenge the whole Uchiha clan. That's why, as he sees through it, he also sees why he was asking why he has Rinnegan and how did he get it and stuff. Which this is where Naruto pretty much stops Sasuke and asks Sasuke, does he want help to get stronger? Which pretty much Sasuke looks at him and says, to get stronger? Of course. I mean, well, Sasuke doesn't say that, but he pretty much says to get stronger. Which pretty much Naruto explains to him that he might can help him unlock his full Sharingan and maybe help him get a Mangekyo. Which pretty much Sasuke says, how do you know about the Mangekyo? Which pretty much Naruto pretty much just went honest with him and explained to him that he kind of went in his mind and knows why he wants to get stronger and why he wants to kill someone. Which he pretty much is talking to Sasuke while Hinata, she's pretty much is eavesdropping a little bit, but not like right by them, but she's pretty much like looking from afar, seeing what Naruto and Sasuke is talking about. This is where Naruto pretty much tells Sasuke that he can help him get the power he needs, and pretty much help him get his revenge. Which this is where Sasuke pretty much agrees upon it and pretty much says how this is gonna work. As this happening, this is where pretty much Naruto looks at Sasuke and pretty much uses the reality stone with the time stone and pretty much merge them together, pretty much freezing Sasuke in place. Pretty much freezing Sasuke body in place and pretty much using the reality stone to help Sasuke evolve his Mangekyo Sharingan. His Sharingan. Now, as he's doing that, this is where he's pretty much pretty much touching Sasuke and pretty much having his eyes evolve. And as his eyes evolving, it's evolving to the one Tomoe, to the two, all the way to the three, all the way to the Mangekyo Sharingan, and yeah, pretty much all the way to the Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, as that's happening, this is where Sasuke is pretty much feels a little bit more stronger in his physical, which Naruto gave Sasuke a little bit more chakra boost, so he doesn't waste his chakra more. And Sasuke pretty much feels the difference in his power. He feels more, powerful, and he pretty much can perceive more attacks and stuff. This is where Naruto says that how does he feel, and Sasuke says that he pretty much he feels more stronger. And pretty much Sasuke says that let's go training to test out what I can do. And Naruto pretty much agrees, and pretty much they go off to start training. Now, as they start training, this is where not Naruto and Sasuke is training, and they're testing out Sasuke eyes and stuff. And this is where Naruto also testing out the Rinnegan eyes, because he can turn them off. He can switch to his regular eyes and switch back to the Rinnegan eyes, you could say. Now, as that's happening, this is where Sasuke is pretty much fighting Naruto, and pretty much Sasuke can perceive Naruto's attack, so Sasuke is getting the favor of the win. But this is where Naruto backs up and pretty much points his fist out and begins to start shooting rockets out his hand, which pretty much Sasuke begins to start dodging each rocket's attack and stuff. And this is where Naruto shoots a beam blast, a mega beam at Sasuke. But as that's happening, this is where Sasuke pretty much uses his rib cage, his Susanoo rib cage, and begins to block it. Now, as he blocks it, this is where Naruto is impressed, saying, "Wow, is that what you can do?" Which Sasuke is saying, "Huh, I didn't know I can do that too." And this is where Sasuke accidentally used the Arasu, the Black Flames, and begins to set Naruto on fire. Now this is where he set Naruto's shirt on fire, which Naruto begins to try to put it out, but realized that he can't. So he takes off his shirt and pretty much jumps away. Which this is where Sasuke realized that he can control the fire, because this is where he starts to put out the fire, and then he realized that he can reignite the fire to make it much bigger. Which Naruto is amazed and starts saying, "I want to do that too." Which pretty much, yet again, he uses the Reality Stone and creates his own. Makes have his Mangekyo Sharingan, but a little bit has his Mangekyo Sharingan, and pretty much starts to see that he can do the same thing too. Which Sasuke is a little bit jealous that Naruto can do all this, but also thankful that Naruto gave him more power to pretty much defeat his brother. But as they're done training and stuff, this is where Naruto is heading home. But before he heads home, he pretty much stops Sasuke and tells him that to don't enter the path of darkness, because, like I said, Naruto uses the Mind Stone and the Time Stone, so he can pretty much see through the future a little bit. He can see through the future a lot, and he sees what Sasuke can become and what he's going to do. And he pretty much tells Sasuke, like, even when he does kill his brother, don't like don't enter the path of darkness and try to destroy the Leaf Village. Which Sasuke doesn't know what he's talking about, but he says you'll see in due time. And begins to start walking away. Like, now, how do I'm gonna explain what I mean about how he said that to Sasuke. So basically, he said that to Sasuke as Naruto sees through the future and see what Sasuke can do, and he sees the future of Sasuke all the way up to the point of the final fight between him and Sasuke fighting, and he basically sees that he sees all that events. He didn't pay attention to words, like the future. Like, he can see to the future, but he doesn't see what they're talking about stuff. He just sees all the parts of what Sasuke is going to do, all the way to the point of the final fight. So yeah, he sees all that. He don't know how Sasuke going to become like that, but he can see what's going to happen. So yeah, pretty much. Let's keep on going. My bad. But yeah, Naruto heads home and pretty much Kushina says welcome home, which Naruto says he's glad to be home and hugs his mom. And pretty much she says to go get washed up. Well, I mean, yeah, go get washed up. Food will be ready in a minute. Well, Naruto says okay, and he starts to get washed up. As he's getting washed up, Minato says that he heard that he passed his test, his bell test, which Naruto decided to tell his father, saying, "Yeah, he passed the bell test." Pretty much, he's glad that he has his Team 7 and stuff, and pretty much, he's happy that he get to test out his ability more. Which Minato is glad to hear that. This is where Naruto pretty much, after he's done washing up, pretty much comes out and pretty much apologizes to his mom and dad again, saying that he understands why they want him to hide his ability or not to show it that much because people was going to start coming after him and try hurting the people he loved to get to him. And pretty much he understands now and says that he's going to get stronger to prevent that. Which Minato and Kushina looks at him and smiles, saying that he's maturing a little bit too fast, but he's maturing. Now, let's get to the next day. Now, the next day, Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata are doing low missions, the lowest of the low, rescuing cats, doing all that stuff, so forth, so forth. This is where pretty much Sasuke, Naruto, pretty much says that these missions are beneath them and goes to Minato and asks for a higher mission. Now, as they're asking for a higher mission, demanding for a higher mission, this is where Minato looks at Naruto and looks at Sasuke and begins to say, okay, I'm gonna give y'all a secret mission to protect Tazuna. Which pretty much they're excited about it and they begin to start getting ready. Now as they're all getting ready, this is where Tazuna comes. Well, before they get ready, this is where Tazuna comes in, and he's pretty much drunk and wasted. And pretty much says, so is these brats gonna be the ones to protect me?" Which pretty much Naruto can use the Mind Stone and pretty much sees the time and uses the Time Stone together again. And pretty much sees through Tazuna Pass and pretty much sees why he needs protection, and also that this mission is not a C mission, but really more as a B mission. But Naruto keeps quiet because he wants to get stronger and develop his stones and see what he can do more with the stones. But this is where Naruto keeps quiet. It pretty much knows what's happening and see. And Sasuke knows that Naruto would do his memories and stuff and also know what's this mission really about. So Sasuke keeps quiet about it too. And they continue to go. Now, as they're going, this is where Sasuke walks up to Naruto, whispers to Naruto and says, "So, what did you see?" Which, pretty much, this is where Naruto explains that he saw the truth about Tazuna, and this is really not a C mission. This is a B mission. And pretty much this mission they can use to get stronger and develop their power they got, which pretty much Sasuke agrees and looks at them and pretty much smiles. Now, as that's happening, this is where pretty much sorry. But this is where pretty much sorry, I'm back. I had to eat something a little bit to get my energy back, but let's continue. So, pretty much this is where Naruto and Sasuke both knows that what's really this high mission, that it's actually a B mission, and they pretty much keep quiet about it. But they also tell Hinata to tell her, so Hinata won't be alerted about it. And pretty much they told her to keep quiet about it because they want to get strong and see what they can do with their power. Which Hinata also agrees because she wants to see how she got a little bit more stronger too. Now, as they're going, this is where immediately Hinata knows that there's two people under the water puddle, and Sasuke and Naruto knows that it haven't rained in a couple of days now, so they know that something's not right. Which Kakashi noticed that they know something's not right, and he's impressed and proud of them. Now, as that's happening, this is where pretty much this pretty much the two demon brothers jumps out and starts charging at Kakashi and trying to kill Kakashi first until Hinata and Sasuke jumps in and pretty much dispatch both of them. Which Naruto pretty much was just looking. Because, like I said, he can see through the future. And he can see all possible outcomes of what could have become. And he pretty much took the possible route of just letting Sasuke and Hinata take him out. And pretty much, Kakashi is impressed with Hinata and Sasuke of them doing something. Taking their demon brothers. And pretty much looks at Naruto and scolds him, saying that he should not be frozen up like that. Which Naruto says, oh no, he wasn't frozen up. He just let them did it. Which Kakashi says, well, nevertheless, don't be not doing anything. Which Naruto understands and says, got you. And they continue going. Now, as that's happening, this is where they pretty much walks through the frog, and immediately Hinata tells the team that there's two people ahead, which Naruto can sense it too, can notice it too, and he begins. Well, this is where he switches his uses his Rinnegan ability and pretty much uses the Almighty Push, but not pushing everything around him, but pushing the wind, pretty much pushing the wind and blowing all the wind, like the frog and stuff away. Which this is where Zabuza realized that what Naruto did, and pretty much this is where Zabuza looks at Naruto and says, I'm impressed, kid. Which Naruto immediately looks at him, and every fighter, I'm just gonna say this, every fighter has like a instinct to run away or to like kill something first. Zabuza has that, so this is where he looks at Naruto first, and it's immediately, his body is immediately telling him that Naruto has to die first. Out of everyone else, Naruto has to die first. And this is where Zabuza charges at Naruto with great speed and begins to try to slice down Naruto. As he's trying to slice down Naruto, this is where Naruto sees the future and sees that Zabuza is running in to kill him and slice him down, which he sees him getting sliced. Which this is where Naruto also just about to dodge the blade until Kakashi comes in and blocks it, saying Naruto, is he okay? Which Naruto says he's okay. He was about to dodge it, but pretty much this is where Kakashi backs him up and pretty much says he's gonna fight him. Now this is where the same fight happens again, and of course Kakashi gets trapped by the water prison, and it's up to Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata to work together to pretty much get Kakashi out the water bubble. Now, as that's happening, this is where Naruto pretty much creates two clones, and he used the reality stone to pretty much change them, and he pretty much changed one of them into a bear, while he turns he pretty much creates one clone, and he pretty much uses the reality stone to warp the clone into pretty much a bear snake. So it's like a half bear, half snake. So the bear tail is going to be a snake, and pretty much he's going to be like a half bear, half snake, you could say. Now this is where Naruto sends out the bear snake to pretty much charge at Zabuza, and Zabuza water clone goes to fight the bear snake, which pretty much this is where Zabuza water clone begins to fighting the bear snake, and realize that this bear is pretty much hard to kill, and pretty much as he sliced down on the bear's head, he realized that it's not going through, and realized that the bear has earth. He has like earth skin, you could say, under the fur. Which this is where Zabuza uses the chakra blade to infuse his blade with chakra and pretty much slice right through the bear's head, slicing the bear's head off. As that's happening, this is where Sasuke pretty much appears right behind the water clone, shooting a fireball, hitting the water clone, and dispersing that one. And pretty much this is where Hinata pretty much is on standby, protecting Tazuna just in case if that other person comes out and attack the VIP person. And this is where Naruto pretty much jumps up, and he pretty much points his fist out, well, his arm, well, fist, you could say, and starts shooting rockets at Zabuza. This is where Zabuza pretty much begins to jumps away and letting go of Kakashi, which this is where Kakashi is pretty much free and begins to get all serious and takes out his Sharingan. As he takes out his Sharingan, this is where Sasuke realized that Kakashi has a Sharingan and begins to get pissed off and begins to turning his eyes into the Mangekyo Sharingan, which this is where Naruto stops. Sasuke tells him why Kakashi has that and explains why he has a Sharingan. And pretty much he explains that Kakashi is pretty much losing all his chakra very quickly because he's not a Uchiha and stuff. Which this is where Naruto pretty much snaps his finger and pretty much turns Kakashi into pretty much a half Uchiha, you could say. Well, yeah, pretty much half Uchiha. Now, as he turns Kakashi into a half Uchiha, this is where Kakashi hair will be like half black and half white, you could say. Like, as his tips will be white, but the rest of his hair will be black. Which this is where Kakashi realized that the chakra, his eyes is not draining his chakra or anything, and it's not affecting him. And he realized that it's not affecting him no more, and he's fighting more freely now. And he says, "I'm not losing chakra." And he doesn't know how that's happening, but he pretty much continues to whoop Zabuza's ass, you could say. As that's happening, this is where pretty much Haku comes in with the clutch and pretty much takes him out. Now, as he takes him out, this is where Haku says that she was here to get him and stuff because he's wanted, which pretty much Naruto already concedes to Haku and says that, yeah. I know that both of y'all is working together, which Haku immediately throws symbol needles at the team, which pretty much Naruto pretty much pushed it all away, which Haku pretty much disappears. Now, as that's happening, this is where pretty much Haku takes Zabuza back to the hideout. Pretty much Zabuza's beat up and saying, damn neck. Damn, they're a little bit stronger. I can't underestimate them next time. Which pretty much Haku says, yeah, me too. Which pretty much we switch back to Team 7. Now, as that's happening, they pretty much make it to Tazuna home and Naruto. This is where Kakashi teaches Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata how to tree walk and work on their chakra control much better because since he didn't lose a lot of chakra or anything, or he needs to rest. So he creates like 2 other clones and he begins to start teaching them one by one, like each all of them how to do it and stuff. Now, as that's happening, this is where Naruto asks Kakashi, can he teach him how to do the Rasengan? Which pretty much Kakashi says, the Rasengan? Which this is where Naruto smiles and says, yeah, I want to learn the Rasengan like my father. Which my father told me that you have, like, you know how to do the Rasengan. Which this is where Kakashi says, ain't that supposed to be a son and a father and son? Ain't he supposed to teach you how to do that? Which this is where Naruto says that, yeah, but he says that I'm not ready yet to learn it. Which this is where Kakashi says, then you're not ready yet. I'm not going to teach you. Which this is where Naruto says, man, whatever. And pretty much gets grumpy. Which Kakashi says, trust me, Minato's going to teach you how to do the Rasengan. I'm just going to teach you how to do this. Which Naruto says, okay. And pretty much they continue the day. Now, this is where Naruto heads to the place to get some rest and pretty much meets up with Haku, like the same as the original canon, but he knows that this is Haku from the whole mask. It pretty much warns Haku that not to come to the bridge or she's going to die. because Naruto can see the possible futures, and like I said, he can also rewarp reality, and he can see through all possible fates and timelines of how Haku died, did this, or most likely was killed in multiple ways. And this is where he pretty much tells Haku that if she leaves, she won't get hurt, and she makes sure Zabuza won't get killed, which Haku pretty much doesn't listen and pretty much just leaves. Now, this is where we get to the bridge fight. Now, this is where Sasuke is pretty much fighting with Haku, and Hinata is pretty much staying behind to protect Tazuna, and Naruto goes in to help out Sasuke. Now, as Naruto going to help out with Sasuke, this is where Sasuke begins to use the fireball and pretty much trying to melt the ice mirrors, and pretty much it's not working, while Naruto is pretty much using the almighty push to push down the ice needles, but realize it's a cooldown. This is where he ulted his DNA a little bit more and begins to pretty much alter his DNA and begins to give himself a more chakra boost, and pretty much starts using the mighty push more to pretty much break the ice mirrors, but they keep reforming back fast. But he also they're kind of on a standstill, as Naruto pretty much broke the physics of waiting for the 5-second cooldown for the mighty push, and he just kept using the mighty push. This is where Sasuke has the idea and uses the all Aramasu and begins to start burning all the mirrors with the black flames, which the mirrors can't reform back, which Haku doesn't know how the hell does that happen. As all the mirrors are melting and stuff, this is where Haku hops out the mirror and begins to does her whole assault at Naruto, which as that's about to happen and Naruto noticed that's going to happen, this is where Zabuza charges at Hinata, while Hinata just barely dodges, and this is where Danzo comes in. Now, this is where Danzo comes in, and he begins to charge at Hinata and slices her straight at her back. Well, forward, slicing her at her chest, making her fall to the ground, and starts to bleed out. This is where Naruto turns around and says Hinata, which like I said, he can see the future, but he is still new at it, so he didn't notice that. So this is where Naruto screams out Hinata, which this is where also Sasuke gets hit by the symbol needles in the back, and pretty much a couple more Abo ninjas comes in and pretty much attack Kakashi. While Zabuza doesn't know what's going on, but he takes this opportunity to pretty much to slice down Kakashi, while Kakashi hits the ground pretty much dead. This is where Naruto realizes everybody around him is pretty much dying or this age is dead. And this is where he pretty much starts to hit to the ground. Now, due to all the Finstone being together, he starts to pretty much get angered and stuff and starts to let out a scream. This is where he hears in his head, it's like a Deadon's voice, and he pretty much hears his head saying, "Do it. Snap your finger. Erase them." Which he pretty much hears also in his head that to set the universe with balance and get rid of the evil. This is where pretty much he begins to lift up his finger. It says, and begins to say, "I," which Thanos pretty much lift up his hand too, and says, "I am inevitable." And they both say it at the same time in each different universes. And begins to snap their finger. Now, as Naruto snapped his finger, he pretty much erased pretty much half of the evil. Like half of the you could say evil in the Shinobi universe. So any baby that was supposed to grow up to be evil, every clan that was supposed to be there, they get erased. Like Naruto pretty much erased half of the universe. Now this is where, as half of the ninjas are just fading existence and stuff and all that, this is where Naruto realized that Hinata was a part of that process. Yeah, she was a part of the percentage. And because Hinata also has something evil inside of her. You could say she's the reincarnation of Kaguya, so she starts unexisting. And also, You could say Sasuke too. So Sasuke starts resisting, and Naruto realizes what he did wrong. And just as he's crying and realizes that people are fading, he loves are fading around him. This is where he pretty much realizes what he can do and goes back in time. Pretty much goes back in time to stop himself. Now, as Naruto's about to snap his finger, this is where Naruto stops himself and says, "Don't do it." Which this past Naruto says, "What do you mean?" Which the future Naruto explains to him that once he snaps his finger, everybody he knows and loves is going to die. And pretty much the future Naruto runs to Hinata and pretty much, teleports to Hinata and pretty much heals her up. Teleports to Kakashi, rewinds time, bring him back to life, heals him up, and also runs to Sasuke and heals him up. And pretty much teleport them all together to pretty much give him a fighting chance. Now, since future Naruto changed the, you could say, past, this is where the future Naruto starts to unresist. Well, not really. This is where the future Naruto begins to say that he has to go back to his timeline or something weird might happen. And he pretty much goes back to the future. And pretty much we're going to go back to the future Naruto. Now, this is where the future Naruto pretty much sees that Kakashi is pretty much, well, no, we're just going to switch to past Naruto. This is where past Naruto pretty much is still weirded out about future Naruto, but he pretty much listened to Naruto and pretty much to his future self and begins to start working together with his team. And they pretty much since pretty much Kakashi fought with Danzo, pretty much distracting Danzo, while Naruto uses his Rinnegan abilities, uses the Soul Steal, begins to start stealing the soul of the two Anbu members, and starts taking the chakra and stuff, and also natures. This is where Sasuke also uses Maratsu to set flames to Haku mask, while Haku takes off the mask and pretty much backs away. While this is where Zabuza is also charging at Hinata, which Hinata pretty much holds off her own and pretty much holding Zabuza off. She pretty much gets a couple hits in, canceling half his chakra points, while Naruto comes in, doing an almighty push, pretty much pushing Zabuza away, and pretty much making him hit the ground in pain. As that's all happening, this is where pretty much Kakashi sends out some help, which this is where Naruto said they're not going to make it in time, which this is where Naruto teleports all the way back to the village, pretty much grabbing his father and teleporting him into the bridge, and pretty much tells his father the whole situation while they're at the bridge, and pretty much Minato says he understands and gets and knows what's happening, and he begins to start throwing his flying Raijin marks everywhere, or his kunais everywhere. And this is where he gets his Rasengan, form two Rasengans, and start teleporting to two people. He teleports to Danzo first in his face and does a Rasengan straight to his stomach, sending him flying to a tree. And he teleports and sends a Rasengan flying to Haku, or well to to Haku, pretty much Rasengan Haku in the back and pretty much just destroying Haku in the process, knocking her out. And pretty much this is where Zabuza's down on the ground, so he can't really do anything because his chakra is closed off, so he's pretty much down for the count. And Minato pretty much starts teleporting to Danzo, saying that he got Danzo. Just focus on those henchmen that's coming, which Hinata already alerted them. Which Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi pretty much work together to pretty much take out the goons that's coming. And yeah, after the whole process of that fight, this is where pretty much Danzo gets away yet again, but more injured because he had to use a couple of those Sharingans in his hand, and gets the fuck out of there. After that, this is where Minato goes back to Naruto and pretty much says that they're okay, which Naruto says yeah, and they're pretty much all smiling at each other, and the bridge brother pretty much thanks them for their help, And the bridge is going to be named the Great Naruto Bridge because why not? And pretty much the mission becomes a success. But after that, this is where Naruto pretty much teleports Team 7, but also grabs Haku and Zabuza and teleports them back to the Leaf Village. And pretty much talks to them and asks them to join the Leaf Village and that they will be safe and Naruto will make sure that they won't get attacked by the about the hidden sound, or not the hidden sound, the hidden water village, so they won't get attacked with the ninjas, which Zabuza agrees and joins the Leaf, and including Haku too. So yeah. After that, this is where Naruto pretty much is heading home, and he pretty much hits his bed saying, "Ah, man, this is exhausting." But as he's slowly drifting off to sleep, this is where he pretty much accidentally activates his ability again, and pretty much goes in the mind of Kurama and sees everything. Sees Kurama memories, and how in the Nine Tails, and pretty much, and knows that there's a beast called the Ten Tails. And pretty much Naruto accidentally put the Ten Tails inside of him. Put the Ten Tails accidentally inside of him. Which, that's for a part 3 to know what's going to happen next. But I'm Keyshawn Chia. Thanks for watching, and see you later.
It looks like you lost another one.